Thank you for joining us for this critical look at the 2008 financial crisis. This is the sixth installment in our Hidden History of Money series, exploring the history of money and its manipulation. Today, we delve into a pivotal event that shook the global financial system to its core. We'll uncover the engineered chaos and expose those who profited from it. This is not just a story of financial instruments and economic theories. It's a story of human greed, regulatory failure, and the erosion of trust. We'll examine how a perfect storm of deregulation, risky lending practices, and outright fraud brought the world's financial system to the brink. Get ready to question everything you thought you knew. The 2008 crisis was not a random event, but a carefully orchestrated transfer of wealth from the many to the few. By understanding the mechanics of this engineered crisis, we can learn to recognize the warning signs and protect ourselves from similar events in the future. The truth, as they say, will set you free. Let's begin. Stay on till the end of this video and we will share bonus tips to help you profit from the knowledge gained from this video. Please like, share and subscribe to the Finance Arcana YouTube channel if you like this video. It will help us a lot to make more videos for our finance community. The early 2000s were a time of unprecedented economic growth and optimism. Fueled by low interest rates and a booming housing market, Americans were encouraged to spend, borrow and dream big. But this apparent prosperity masked a dangerous reality, a house of cards built on a foundation of easy credit and unsustainable debt. Wall Street, always eager to capitalize on a trend, created new and complex financial instruments to package and sell this debt. Mortgage-backed securities, once considered a safe and reliable investment, were transformed into ticking time bombs. As long as housing prices continued to rise, the music played on, but the party couldn't last forever. The seeds of the crisis were sown in the shadows of this financial engineering. Subprime mortgages, loans given to borrowers with poor credit and high risk of default, were repackaged and sold as A-rated securities. The ratings agencies, entrusted with assessing risk, turned a blind eye to the dangers, seduced by the lure of hefty fees. The stage was set for a catastrophic collapse. All it would take was a spark to ignite the fuse. At the heart of the 2008 crisis lay the subprime mortgage market. These loans, often with adjustable rates and low initial payments, were aggressively marketed to borrowers who could ill afford them. Lenders, eager to cash in on the housing boom, relaxed their lending standards, approving loans with little or no documentation. These toxic mortgages were then bundled together into complex securities known as collateralized debt obligations, CDOs. These CDOs were sliced and diced into different tranches, each with varying levels of risk and return. The highest rated tranches, deemed the safest, were sold to unsuspecting investors around the world. But the ratings agencies, complicit in this scheme, bestowed their seal of approval on these risky investments, masking the true danger lurking beneath the surface. Investors, blinded by the promise of high returns and the AAA ratings, failed to grasp the underlying risks. The illusion of safety was shattered when the housing bubble burst. As housing prices began to fall, defaults on subprime mortgages skyrocketed. The CDOs, built on a foundation of bad debt, imploded, triggering a chain reaction that rippled through the global financial system. While Main Street struggled under the weight of a looming financial crisis, a select few on Wall Street saw an opportunity for immense profit. These insiders, armed with knowledge of the impending collapse, engaged in a practice known as short selling. Short selling involves borrowing an asset, such as a stock or a mortgage-backed security, and immediately selling it in the market. The hope is that the price of the asset will decline, allowing the short seller to buy it back at a lower price when they need to return it to the lender, pocketing the difference. Hedge funds, like John Paulson's Paulson & Company, recognize the vulnerability of the housing market and bet heavily against subprime mortgages. They purchased credit default swaps, essentially insurance policies that would pay out if the value of the underlying mortgage securities declined. When the market crashed, these bets paid off handsomely. Goldman Sachs, a Wall Street giant, played a particularly controversial role. While selling toxic mortgage-backed securities to their clients, they were simultaneously betting against those same securities. profiting from the very products they were peddling to unsuspecting investors. If you watch some of the videos on this crisis online, you would see that Goldman Sachs declared on a certain day that the prices of the subprime mortgages were heavily discounted. This triggered a financial meltdown in the equities markets. This also meant that AIG, which had sold credit insurance against the default of some of these CDOs, also was under financial stress. Ultimately, the US government took over control of AIG and injected funds into it. Section 5. A Tale of Two Americas, Wall Street wins. Main Street loses. The 2008 financial crisis exposed a stark divide in America, the chasm between Wall Street and Main Street. As millions of Americans lost their homes, their jobs, and their life savings, the very institutions responsible for the crisis received billions in taxpayer-funded bailouts. The Federal Reserve, tasked with maintaining financial stability, stepped in to rescue the banks deemed too big to fail. These bailouts, while preventing a complete financial meltdown, fueled public outrage. The perception, rightly or wrongly, was that Wall Street had privatized the profits while socializing the losses. While the banks were bailed out, homeowners facing foreclosure were largely left to fend for themselves. The government's response was widely criticized as being too little, too late. The result was a wave of foreclosures, shattered dreams, and a deep sense of betrayal among ordinary Americans. Section 6. The aftermath, too big to fail, too connected to fall. In the wake of the 2008 crisis, the US government implemented a series of reforms aimed at preventing a repeat of the meltdown. The Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act, passed in 2010, was designed to increase financial regulation, enhance consumer protection, and bring greater transparency to the financial system. However, critics argued that Dodd-Frank did not go far enough in addressing the underlying problems that led to the crisis. The too big to fail banks, far from being broken up, emerged from the crisis even larger and more interconnected than before. The national debt, already on an unsustainable trajectory, ballooned as the government borrowed trillions to fund the bailouts and stimulate the economy. The long-term consequences of this unprecedented level of debt remain to be seen, but the burden will undoubtedly fall on future generations. Section 7. Smoke and mirrors, the media's role in the crisis. The financial media, tasked with informing the public about complex economic issues, played a complex and often complicit role in the events leading up to the 2008 crisis. Instead of serving as watchdogs, many media outlets became cheerleaders for the excesses of Wall Street. Fueled by advertising dollars from financial institutions and a desire to maintain access to powerful sources, financial news outlets often downplayed or ignored the warning signs of the impending crisis. They celebrated the ingenuity of Wall Street, touting the supposed benefits of complex financial instruments without adequately explaining the risks. Even as the crisis unfolded, many media outlets initially failed to grasp the severity of the situation. They often relied on the very same experts who had helped create the crisis to explain it, leading to a lack of critical analysis and accountability. The public, bombarded with conflicting and often misleading information, struggled to make sense of the unfolding chaos. Section 8. A Crisis of Trust, the enduring legacy of 2008. The 2008 financial crisis was not just an economic catastrophe, it was a crisis of trust. The American people lost faith in the institutions that were supposed to protect them, the banks, the government, and even the media. The crisis exposed a deep-seated rot at the heart of the financial system, a system rigged to benefit the wealthy and well-connected at the expense of everyone else. It revealed the dangers of unchecked greed, regulatory capture, and the corrosive influence of money in politics. The legacy of the 2008 crisis is still felt today. The gap between the rich and the poor has continued to widen. The middle class has shrunk, and the American dream, once a beacon of hope for millions, has become increasingly elusive. Section 9. Protecting yourself, navigating future economic storms. While we cannot predict the future, we can learn from the past. The 2008 financial crisis taught us valuable lessons about the importance of financial literacy, the dangers of debt, and the need for a more just and equitable economic system. Here are a few practical tips to help you protect yourself from future economic storms. Educate yourself. Knowledge is power. Take the time to learn about personal finance, investing, and the economy. Live within your means. Avoid excessive debt. Live within your means and save for a rainy day. Diversify your investments. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Diversify your investments across different asset classes to mitigate risk. Question authority. Don't blindly trust financial advisors or the media. Do your own research and seek out independent sources of information. Demand reform. Hold your elected officials accountable. Demand reforms that promote financial stability, protect consumers, and create a more just and equitable economy. This is the bonus tips section. Congrats on staying till this segment where we share tips on how to profit from knowledge of past recessions. At the point of the stock market crash, the US market was at an all-time high. Warren Buffett once said to be fearful when others are greedy, and to be greedy only when others are fearful. Prior to this meltdown, Buffett monitored the Buffett indicator and came to a view that the market was overvalued and started selling his non-core equity positions in the open market. For you, always monitor this Buffett indicator, and when it flashes red, reduce your long positions in the market and start holding cash or start building positions that can profit from the downside. Luck always favors the prepared who hold cash in a crisis. In conclusion, the 2008 financial crisis was a wake-up call. It's time to heed the lessons of the past and build a more resilient and equitable future for all. Please like, share and subscribe to the Finance Arcana YouTube channel if you like this video. It will help us a lot to make more videos for our finance community. Please also help to support our finance channel by clicking through our list of recommended resources in the video description below.